There it is. Thank you. And people will get in touch with us after the recording. We actually get some questions after the fact, so it's good to know that people are looking at this. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm Rosa Miami, the Director of Engagement and Membership. I think I know everyone, but I always want to say hello. Let's look at the agenda, and then I'm going to throw it to Amber and to Janice to see what they want to say. So welcome. This is our last section leader call for this year because we're going to see each other in person soon. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk about COP28, get a quick update. We're going to get an update on AGU 23, really exciting stuff. I'm going to do a really fast update on honors innovations, OSPA for AGU 23. Josh on my team is going to talk about Know Before You Go for the sections. And then we've got a couple of sections here who we're gonna spotlight, who are talking about how you have kind of planned what you're gonna be doing at AGU 23, some lessons learned and that kind of thing. As usual, we've only got an hour and it's really tight. So I'm gonna ask for forgiveness, if I could say it, in the beginning, because I may jump in and do a time check on some of you. So let me go to Janice first and see if you wanna say anything to the group.
Sure. Well, it's great to be here with you. I cannot tell you the level of excitement and enthusiasm that the staff has for where we're going to be a week from now, or maybe a week and a couple days. But every year I keep thinking we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it, but we always do, and that's a tribute to this incredible team that we have working at AGU, led by the meetings team. I see Suzanne is on the call, and I know she is one of several who work very, very hard on this. And as we get close, sort of the last quarter of the year, everyone's involved. And so it's a very big deal for us. And the most rewarding part is the fact that we get to spend time with you in person, spend time talking with you, hearing about what's on your mind, what your opportunities are, what your challenges are, and what we can do better to support you. So I'm very, very excited about what's coming up and to hear about the great work that you're doing. And I'm also excited about the first thing on the agenda today. We're going to hear from Mark Shimamoto, who is in Dubai at COP28. I'm not going to tell you how upset I am that I'm not there. I had planned to be there and ended up with a detached retina, which canceled my travel plans. So I'm recovering. You're all a little blurry, but I'm here and I can function. And I'll just be looking to make up all of the excitement and everything in San Francisco when I'm with you there.
Thank you so much, Janice. I'm glad you're here, and hope you can see us better soon. The blurriness.
And I'll be here. I'll be on the call I think the whole time. I don't think I don't think I'm double booked. So if anybody has questions for me, I know we want to get Mark to bed, so we're going to be conscious of that. But if anyone has questions for me, feel free to jump in.
Thank you. Amber, do you want to jump in with anything before we go
Just
to Mark?
very fast, because this is such a robust itinerary today, because we're at that time. But I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to seeing so many of you in person, and thank you again for all the work that you're doing. Obviously, this is the busiest time of year, and so we're just so thrilled to partner with you and really appreciate everything you're doing. Most of what we'll talk about today is prepping for AGU 23, but you'll see a lot of us, for those who are attending in person, you'll see a lot of us at the council meeting. We'll be providing an update on all that membership work that you keep hearing about, so stay tuned for that. But I'll go ahead and wrap up so we can get going here.
Thanks, Amber. So thank you. So Mark from Dubai, we'll hand it over to you.
Great. And I'll try to be brief too, because I'd love to hear if there's any questions too. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you joining the call today. I'm Mark Shimamoto. I am Vice President for Global Outreach and Partnerships with AGU. I am currently calling in from my hotel room here in Dubai. It's about 11 p.m. And today is day one of the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, also known as COP. This is the 28th session. For those who may remember from past events, this is actually, while COP has been around for 28 sessions, this is the third COP that AGU as an entity has had a role at. First, it was at COP26 in Glasgow, COP27 in Egypt, and now COP28 here in Dubai. And our role here is really to ensure that the world stage and the world's policymaking on climate, the world's conversations around climate action and ways that the global community is responding to calls for change, policy change, creation, technology, etc., are informed by strong science. So we see it's not just ensuring that our community is visible, but even going a step further and making sure that science is strongly rooted at all discussions. It's also a unique opportunity to ensure that our global community, so our members in 148 countries, have visibility, their science is represented. We can have more concerted conversations with their local governments, their ministries, etc., in ways that we maybe traditionally haven't been able to support in the past, just because of bandwidth and lack of ability to help to support government relations in different parts of the world. But it is a great opportunity here, especially with the focus of climate. And this year, I'm quite pleased, even though we don't have Janice and Lisa here in Dubai, they are our virtual delegation leads and have been tuning in to some of the Blue Zone events virtually and still helping to guide our delegation as we embark on the next 2 weeks of both negotiations, but also very thoughtful programming. We have taken a lot of efforts and comments through the different surveys that our members have provided and inputs on how they engage at COP, what they want to see, how they want to learn from, and have developed some really great programming throughout the 2 weeks that feature those scientists on panels, those scientists virtually who may be attending virtually, or those who are here in person who are showcasing their stories and their perspectives of COP through a social media campaign. And then we also will tie this up at AGU 23 with a simulcast between the Cryosphere section and the Cryosphere Pavilion, who have offered to host a conversation between the two hubs to discuss a little bit more what's going on, what the scientific perspective is, what membership needs are. And so, again, a great way we're elevating, or we're hoping to elevate the great work the sections are doing, but also think about the intersections between our science. I think you can look across the scientific disciplines of the sections, and you can go to probably any single event here at the UN Climate Conference and have a voice, have a reason. And so really thinking how we can disperse our representation, how we can elevate the work of science policy, of community science, of open science as key areas that the decision makers are hoping to listen to, and of course, help to inform strong science-informed policy. So I know that was a little bit of a long list. We had our first event today with some representatives from NCAR, from some of the US agencies, on community science. It was quite a great discussion of how to involve and engage both local decision makers, communities themselves, and scientists working together to solve local challenges. And it was also a great opportunity to highlight all the work our volunteers have done through the Thriving Earth Exchange. So that's just one example of many and more to come. And I'd be happy to give a longer update once this wraps up, but I will drop the link into the chat for a listing of the events. Some are live streamed, some are going to be recorded and posted later. But again, this is a great opportunity, and we're really very much grateful for all the members who have volunteered to give their perspectives, speak on panels, and showcase all the great work that the collective community is doing.
Thanks so much, Mark. We appreciate that update and you joining us so late in your day. Does anyone, like we said, it's jam-packed today, but does anyone have a comment or question? Maybe we'll take one here for Mark. I don't see anything in the chat. Raise hands or yell out.
So I'm going to ask a question. Mark, I know you connected with, if I'd been there, we would have spent a lot of time connecting with our members. Can you talk a little bit about the kinds of places and opportunities you have to interact with AGU members who are there? And you've already told me a story about how just ran into a former council member. So it was, it's very exciting. It's both planned and serendipity, but could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. As you said, there was some planned intentional outreach through the surveys, through also asking our members if they're attending, or through the sections if they have members or they know folks who are there or want to connect us to people at their organization who may be attending, was kind of the intentional piece. And we brought those voices to panels. We've had some meetings, and then they also may be running events that would want to highlight some of the great work that you all are doing through, like I said, community science, open science, etc. And then in addition, there is this kind of serendipitous piece. So we see folks today at the session who just happened to see some familiar people on the pavilion stage and came in because they were just curious to see what was going on, as they knew who those people were. And as you alluded to, Janice, Rosie Oakes, who is the past student and early career rep of council who wrapped up in December 2022, is here. And she is one of the ones who's going to be recording a message on social media.
Great. And it looks like we've got a question from Alik. Go ahead.
Hi, Alik. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, Mark. And interesting, that you are there and it's participating in this activity. Actually, working with UN organization for many years, I know that it's the science, especially at these meetings, are not very much. It's just that we are speaking to each other who understand science. Others will not understand us, first of all, and they are not there to understand science. Quite different aim. At the same time, I think it's very important to have a one voice of science. And there are many organizations who really much recognized by UN, agencies and UN headquarters and so on, particularly International Science Council. And what I would suggest you, I think, to contact this organization and other UN organizations like UN Environmental Program and many scientific, one of them, for example, WCRP, it's quite known to AGU, organized 40 years of this organization and so on in Washington. And that is important to come together, and it's I can send you, or maybe others also would be interesting, a few events which it's ASE organizing together with UN organizations. I think it would be very good also to link AGU and this, this AGU membership, actually. I mean, mentioning that it's 60,000 people, among them, let's say it's a very large portion working on climate and environmental change. Yeah, that's my point. Thank you.
It's an absolutely great point, and it's a key part of our strategic plan. If you remember, one of the goals is focused on partnerships, and those, well, as you mentioned and alluded to, are our strong suits because we already have close ties, relationships through our members as well as through our leadership to those different entities. But we also can use opportunities like this to further codify that. So your example of UNEP, we just happened to meet the head of UNEP today after having long conversations with their chief scientist. ISC, Salvatore Rico, of course, have those take as many advantage opportunities to meet with ISC and build those stronger connections, not just between institutions, but think about how our collective communities who often engage at both can work together to advance common missions. That's one key piece and great opportunity of being here at COP. Great point.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Mark. Why don't we move on to the next topic? I'm hoping we have some time at the end. We do want to get to the AGU 23 update. We've got Suzanne and Rebecca. There's a lot of slides here. I'm going to remind Suzanne and Rebecca that we're going to be able to provide these to folks after the fact. So, you know, if we hit the highlights, that'd be great.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you.
Yes, I will be quick. And there's a lot of numbers, so I'm not going to read out all the numbers and stuff. You guys can go back through them. So do you want to go to the next slide? We are very excited. We're going into the meeting very strong. We're over 23,000 total. So, you know, in person, we're seeing that come back alive, where we're seeing 21,000 people come to the in-person meeting. So there's lots of excitement and still, you know, fine tuning some things before we get there next week. Next slide. And just to kind of give you an overview, again, we have 52 concurrent oral sessions going on and 2 poster sessions per day, which is a total of 3,400 posters per day. So there's lots of activity that's going to be happening in the poster hall and session rooms. And the next slide is just to kind of give you an overview by numbers. I'm not going to go through this. We kind of had some fun at the end where we were estimating the number of push pins for the poster hall. It was 70,000 plus. But as you can see, there was a lot of hard work that went into planning for this meeting from the scientific program team. And we've had a great turnout for sessions this year. Next slide. And I've already gone over the plenaries for the week, but I wanted to give you more information on the times and the location. All plenaries will take place in Hall E. The only plenary that won't take place in the general session room will be the Dr. Jerry Richmond. That's going to be taking place in room 201 and 202 in Moscone South. But, you know, these are just reminders to keep these on your schedule, and we look forward to seeing you at these sessions. And then we are bringing back the e-lightning theater this year. I don't know how many of you remember, we used to have the theater where the presenters would give like 3-minute talks, and then we have the online poster gallery. The online poster gallery is great because if you didn't get to see a poster, you have the opportunity to go back into the gallery and view anytime after the meeting. Next slide. And just a reminder, you can reserve a pod. These pods will be located throughout the poster hall, and we have also located some over in Moscone West. They are 30-minute pod reservations can be made through the Convex program online. And again, they can be listed in the program publicly, or you can mark them as private. But yeah, they're a great opportunity for networking with your colleagues. And then just a reminder, all presenters and chairs must be registered for the meeting in order to attend their sessions, give their presentation in person, or to even access the session via the mobile app platform. And Rebecca's going to talk more about the mobile app at the end of the, after I talk. Next slide. Okay, Rebecca, do you want to give a quick overview? I know numbers have changed a little, but on the sales.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I apologize. My voice is a little quiet today. I'm a bit under the weather. So I oversee our exhibit sales, and we are doing great this year. We're really having a strong comeback from COVID times. So as of right now, we're actually a little closer to about 280 exhibiting companies that will be in the exhibit hall, which is a little bit closer to about 440 booths at this point. This is for AGU over $1.4 million in revenue that goes directly towards offsetting costs for the meeting. So this is a really important source of revenue for AGU 23. As you can see, we're ahead of where we finished last year. So that's really great news, again, for the revenue side of things. We are launching a new concept inside the exhibit hall this year in our open science pavilion. We tried it out last year with just the data help desk area, and it was really successful. So we have brought in other companies who are also working in the area of open science, and they have kiosks that they've purchased around the data help desk area where there will be presentations on open science and data. So encourage everyone to stop by and check that out. We've also had really strong sponsorship sales this year. So we've got sponsors for a new program called Fill It Forward, which folks can go and grab a sticker that will, when they scan their water bottle, will donate money. So we've been working on engaging sponsorship opportunities, engaging ideas in the exhibit hall. We really hope you'll encourage everyone to spend some time in here. This is Hall F in the North Building on the exhibition level. That's a great question, Andy. So some of the companies, as you can see, have bigger booths. So the booths are based on a 10 by 10 size. And so the companies that take more, some of them have 4 booths. NASA's is the equivalent of 36 booths. So that's a great question where we come up with our math. But again, I just encourage everyone to stop by. This is a really important area in our exhibit hall. A lot of the companies here are recruiting. A lot of the companies here support their research and the tools that everyone needs to do their work. So they are an important part of our community, and hopefully you have some time to walk through and check it out. Let's see, Rachel, what is the approximate meeting budget? That would be more of a question for Suzanne on overall budget questions and where the exhibit's revenue falls into it. Probably need to do a little deeper dive on how to explain that, maybe.
Yeah, there's a little bit more detail that goes into, I mean, there's other revenue that comes in with registration, abstracts,
all the revenue,
sponsorships, events. So there's lots of other revenue that comes in as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Suzanne. But this is an important piece of the puzzle, and definitely an area that we're looking as to where we can continue to grow. So if there's a company as you're walking through here and you want to know why they're not there, we always welcome recommendations so that we can have them join us if you think that they're missing out and we're missing out on having them be part of our event. So thank you. Next slide, Rosa, or whoever's controlling the deck here. So as I mentioned, just why exhibits and sponsorship matter. It supports the money that comes in to offset costs at the meeting. These are educational opportunities. They talk about new tools and services and technologies. A lot of our exhibitors are leading the way for some of these things. So it's a great place for our attendees to see the latest and greatest in person and talk to the people that are doing that work. They have recruitment opportunities, and there's new opportunities for connecting inside of the exhibit hall as well, an opportunity and just new types of organizations and companies that align with our strategic mission. So it's just a great way for us as we continue to advance our strategic plan. The exhibit hall is always a great place for us to work that in. Next slide.
I can take this part. Thank you, Rebecca. Now, just to give you guys an update of events and ancillaries that will take place. Again, these are things Sunday through Friday that will take place. We have the international reception, the icebreaker, which will take place on Monday in the exhibit hall at 3. The exhibit hall opens at 3, but the icebreaker will not start till 4 o'clock, and it will go from 4 to 6, where we'll have, just light like food throughout the exhibit hall and refreshments. And then again, Tuesday are your section events that take place. And we have puppy yoga and regular yoga. I hope some of you have signed up for that. Another area is the wellness area that will take place in the exhibit hall. So please, enjoy the massage chairs and games, the activities that are back there. It's a kind of a nice stress relief. And then we have the climate grief resilience workshop, honor ceremony, reminder that's always on Wednesdays. And then we have the climate parables show that will take place on Thursday. There are tickets still available. If you go back into registration, they're just $5 for a ticket. So we hope to get more of you to come to that event. And then we have the program committee recognition, which is on Thursday evening. Next slide. And I've kind of given these to you in the past. These are just our registration and where to pick up the badge. We have 3 locations. Well, actually, we have 3 locations at the Moscone Center, and then we have 3 hotels that you can go and scan and print your badge. So, if you're staying at the Marriott Marquis or the Hilton or the Park 55, you will be able to print your badges and you are all set to go. Next slide. And this again is just kind of an overview of those locations. Next slide. And just a reminder on health and safety, AGU is encouraging vaccinations in person, but we are not doing the verification like we did the past 2 years. There's also no mask mandate, but we are, that is up to the individual if they would like to wear masks. And then, we will have staff there. If there's any medical needs, we will have staff. And we also have the medical EMTs that are on site that, we have all those located in each 3 buildings. And then just to recall, just a reminder, we have the Safe AGU. So if there's a Safe AGU issue, look for the staff that have the green badges. Next slide. And what you're going to see new this year throughout the convention center, we have placed signs, just a reminder to attendees and to staff and to vendors, anybody that's participating, just to be, show a little, compassion, show inclusivity, and speak up, ask questions, and just to feel safe. If you see anything, we would love you, for you to report it to the Code of Conduct to Safe AGU. And Billy and Lauren will work with you. Next slide. And just to give you an update, we had a great call with San Francisco Travel yesterday. They kind of gave us an update on what the city has been doing and preparation for our meeting. You can kind of see these are all different photos of our the assistance that's going to happen throughout the city. We have the community ambassadors. Those are the orange jackets. They're going to be out on the streets in San Francisco early morning and into the evening. So if you're looking for directions or need help or guidance, they're on the street. You can approach them. They're there to help you. In addition, we have some other volunteer retired police officers that are going to be scattered throughout the city as well. And they've also provided a number. So if you're looking for somebody to escort you from your hotel to the convention center, there's going to be a telephone number that you can call and arrange for this service. And we're going to provide that in the Know Before You Go that's going to come out next week. In addition, we're going to have our Astria training and security policies that we've been preparing for the meeting. Next slide. And this is just a map that shows, if you look at the red dots, those are where all the ambassadors are going to be. They've located them all like throughout the city where we have our main hotels. So, you can kind of see on the path where your hotel is. And if you have questions, the ambassadors will be on those corners. Next slide. And I'm going to give this to Rebecca.
Thanks, Suzanne. So the mobile app and our online platform are now available. Anyone that's registered received an email yesterday letting them know that. So I encourage everyone to download the app before heading to San Francisco, so that you can familiarize yourself with how it works. It's a really great tool. We've been using this app since 2017, so it should be familiar to a lot of repeat attendees at the meeting. So you can find it in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, depending on what device you have. There is a web version if not compatible with your device, but I think most people should be able to access this without a problem. So again, just encourage everyone to get this beforehand. Next slide, please. In order to log in, you will be prompted not to download it. So anyone can download the app, and then from within it, you'll select the AGU 23 event once you're in it. You will be prompted to log in. So you just need to be registered for the meeting to gain that access, because this is where we will live stream and people's posters are accessible from here. So we do put all of that behind the paywall of the meeting. So that would be the AGU single sign-on that you use to register for the meeting. So even if you have some other account with AGU, please make sure that you're using the email address that you registered with and that password, because it won't match up otherwise, and it will tell you that you're not registered. So if you can't remember, go ahead and give our team a call, and they can certainly help you out. If you've forgotten your password, like me many times, there's also, don't forget, on our website, we have the forgot my password, and you can reset that to gain access. Next slide, please. So this is just a screenshot of what you'll see. We're still, this was from a little bit ago, but it will look basically like this on the home screen of the mobile app when you log in. So we've got some buttons that we think are the main features that you'll need to find things while you're at the meeting. There's also a nav bar at the bottom of the app with some more things on that right button that says more. So, click through and see what areas of interest you're looking for. Probably most used will be program. That will take you to where you can look at everything by day. And the My Schedule is for things that you've added to your schedule. This will sync with anything that you've added from Confex already. If you have a saved schedule from being logged in using the same email address, again, it has to be the same email address that you're registered for. If you created it under a different email, it would not sync over to this app. Next slide, please. So navigating the program. So once you click on that program or schedule button, or excuse me, the program button, it'll take you to a page where you'll see everything. We've tried to categorize it in ways that make sense. So on the left-hand side, you'll see everything by the session type. So oral, poster, e-lightning, just so you can quickly identify what type of session it is. And then you'll see the session titles that you all are familiar with. We can filter everything. There is a filter button in the top right corner. I think sometimes folks miss this. This is a really great way for narrowing down what we know is a very large program. So once you click on that filter button, you can narrow it down by the scientific discipline. So if you're just looking for your section, it would then show you everything that was in that section. That's an oral, a poster, an e-lightning, etc. Some of the themes of the meeting, we've had folks that have picked themes to different types of sessions. So that's a unique way of looking for some things maybe you wouldn't have found otherwise. We've done it by neighborhood and then also by session type. So if you're just looking to see what all of the oral sessions are, this will help just narrow it down by broad categories. Then another thing to keep in mind is you can also search the entire program. It is a pretty smart search program. So you can also narrow it down by that field as well. Next slide, please. And then once you start adding things to your schedule and you go to the schedule button from the home screen, it's there at the bottom. So you can always quickly jump to your schedule. You'll start to see the things that you've added shaded in darker here with those actual sessions. You can always then click into them for more information about the room, whatnot, right from the schedule. This is also a really great way to fill in some of your schedule. If you see an opening and you're not sure what to go to during that time block, you can actually click on one of those shaded boxes where it says, for example, poster, and find a poster session. It will just show you all of the things happening in that time block that are poster to help fill in your schedule if you're not sure where to go. There is a way to export your schedule, excuse me, using the hamburger menu up top, if you prefer to have this somewhere else. it is exportable. Next slide, please. This is just a screenshot example of what this would look on the desktop version. This is last year's. So this one dynamically moves across the screen, but very much mirrors the experience and the app visually, what you would get. So it is still the same search tools, the same adding to your schedule, the visually, it looks very similar. It just slides across your screen as you open boxes up or close them. Next slide, please. And here you can just see an example of what pops up. And I would encourage, there is a little bit of scrolling required. We have a lot of content in each session. Once you scroll down, if you go into a session that you want to look at, you'll scroll down and you can see other sessions that might be similar to it. You can see the presentations within that session, so that you can then click into them and see more detail about the individual presentations within the session. We also will have the ask a question button here as we start to have recordings available. All that will start to appear once we're at the meeting and things begin to populate and as the meeting occurs. But this would be where you would go to find everything. So, and I would, things like view someone's poster, that link individually will be on the presentation level. Something like a session recording or watching an actual session would happen at the parent session level. So if you have found an abstract that you want to watch in an oral session online, you wouldn't find the link to watch it on the presentation. It would be on the parent session level, that main one. So just make sure you're looking around to find what you're looking for, depending on the level that's needed. So these are just some examples of the icons to look for about watching the session replay, asking a question, viewing recordings. They will all be there, sometimes just below the session description. So if you don't see something right away, just give it a little scroll and take a peek to see if what you're looking for is there. Next slide, please. And one thing I did want to mention that I realized we didn't have a slide for here, as Suzanne mentioned, the pods. Another thing that we do have available that's now live in the app is we are bringing back the Brain Date program, which is also a really great way for networking during the meeting. The pods are good for a slightly larger space based on topic. The Brain Dates are good for one-on-one and smaller group topics. The location will be inside the exhibit hall, and you can actually post topics. And folks will sign up to join you in there. It is a very safe place to meet. It is staffed by Brain Date experts. So, no needing to go off to a coffee shop to have a one-on-one conversation with someone you've never met before. Someone will safely introduce you. And it's a really great way to put a topic up there. So I encourage everyone to take a look. That is live now through the app. So download the app or go to the desktop version. Under the networking section, there is a link right to Brain Date. So you just have to create a short profile about who you are, what you do, who you're looking to meet, and throw some great engaging topics up there. It's really fun to watch that lounge fill up. It was really active last year. So
thanks, Rebecca, and thanks, Suzanne. We really appreciate all the information, and you're coming to these calls every month and giving a regular update. I think it's been really helpful. I'm going to go through some things really quickly to make up some time. Honors innovations. I'm not going to go through the innovations again because you all have heard them over the last year or so, and if you're on council, you probably saw the update in the consent agenda. But essentially the two-step nomination and review process, we're allowing for self-nominations in addition to peer, and we're implementing the standard scoring rubric. Let's go to the next slide. You can see information and guidance on all of these innovations on this URL. Again, we're going to provide the recording and the PowerPoint so you can actually click on these things. And you can find some information on our new honors webpages about the innovations, including timeline and the rubric itself and some guidance and FAQs. The one thing I did want to highlight is that we do have a new recorded information session featuring the leadership of the Honors and Recognition Committee talking about the innovations. It's a very quick video. It's about 20 minutes. And along with that and the FAQs, we are going to have open office hours during these dates. So you can sign up, and anyone, any member can sign up to learn more and ask questions about the process, the innovations, the technology around it, how it works. And this is our usual email address to contact us. But I do encourage you to take advantage of these open office hours starting early December all the way through January, early January. As you probably know, we are opening the cycle, the honors cycle for nominations on the 17th of January. So just a few weeks away. The other thing I wanted to mention very quickly, next slide. Canvassing resources. If you remember, we had a call that was devoted where we had sections talking about how they deal with canvassing and canvassing committees. And one of the things that we committed to you was to come back with resources to hopefully help you in terms of canvassing. So next Monday, December 4th, canvassing committees with a copy to section leaders will get an email that includes 3 things: historical submission trends for the past 5 years, section member lists that are password protected. So you'll get something online that will, or in the email that tells you how to access the information, and section specific membership demographic information. So from the meeting we had, the section leader call, I guess a few months ago, we heard that these are the things that the content that hopefully helps you as you and the canvassing committees do their work. We would love to come back to you and find out if this is what you needed, if this was helpful. In the past, I think what we've done is that we've given you some of this information regularly, but some of this only upon request. So now we're providing this to every section. So let us know how this goes and if this was helpful. The other thing that's not on slides that I want to give you really quick updates. In addition to you getting an email on canvassing resources, you're going to get an email next week on your Q3 financial, section financial. So you get a couple of emails from the member services team, 2 different things. So as you know, the Q3, probably you're not going to see a whole lot in those financials because this is pre-fall meeting, pre-AGU 23. A lot of activity will be in the one that you get after this. But call us with questions, email us as you see those financials, and we're glad to help. The last thing that I'll mention that's not on here is that, as I mentioned today, this is our last section leader call for this year. We're going to continue to do monthly section leader calls, but we're still pulling together the dates. So start looking for, maybe after we get back from the conference, like we've done, we'll send meeting invites with when those dates are. We will also do a kickoff call, probably late January, with with sections like we did earlier this year, to kind of talk to you about your goals for 2024, that type of thing. So watch out for those emails explaining what that is, what the agenda is, and how you can sign up for a few sessions that we'll have in the year. So I know that was a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to bring those to your attention. And then why don't we go to the next slide and next topic on OSPA. And I'm hoping if you have questions, put it on the in the chat, and we'll try and chat you during the presentations, and hopefully we've got some time at the end. So Eric and Ricky, I know you've been on this call a lot with updates, so I'll turn it over to you with your next update.
Cool. Thanks, Rosa. And yeah, Ricky Anderson will be monitoring the chat here and responding to questions. So if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat as they arise. And Ricky will respond while I talk so we can get through these slides quickly. So it's been a bit since we chatted about OSPA. I think the last time we presented was at the end of August. So we have some exciting news to share, some major updates this year, and I'll go through these. But you know, we have a new platform with iPoster where OSPA is housed. Some new business rules that accompany that. Some new training resources to make the program as effective as possible in providing students with constructive feedback on their presentations and making things easier for our volunteers, and a member advisory committee for OSPA. So if we go to the next slide. I actually want to start by recognizing this committee. So Maggie, Tanya, Ekta, Jean-Joel, Rashida, Sushant, Ash, and Sam have done an incredible amount of work over 6 months to really improve OSPA moving forward. the time they gave in providing feedback as we explored new platforms and new business rules was invaluable, their feedback there. And they've done a ton of work to revamp the evaluation form and rubric, test the system, and build resources for our volunteers. So I really want to thank the work that they've done. And thank you to our section leadership for proposing some of these names to help out. If you could go next slide. So new software. Good news, we're no longer on the reviewer platform. That contract ended after last year. And we, this summer, selected iPoster to be the new platform for OSPA. Hopefully you've seen iPoster before. It actually was mentioned earlier in this call when Suzanne was talking about the virtual experience. So this is, iPoster is a system that all eLightning presentations are housed on, as well as virtual posters, and it's where OSPA will be housed. Ton of reasons why we went with them, but really this is, I don't know what's going on with the slides here. Thanks. This is someone that ASU has been working with for years now. They've proven to be a really great partner, and they've done the grunt work in talking with all the different vendors that ASU works with our membership database, Confex, the conference registration system. Their system talks to them, and their other systems talk to iPoster well. And that's so far has been working swimmingly. It's also familiar to our members, and it's already a part of the ASU 23 experience. So we're not asking people to go into a separate platform, learn a whole new thing when they take part in OSPA. If you go to the next slide. Back one. There we go. We do have some new OSPA rules this year, and this is all to help our students ensure that our students are receiving feedback on their presentations, and to lessen the burden on our volunteers, specifically our coordinators and our liaisons, to try find reviewers for all these students. We have over 2,600 students this year in OSPA. So that's a lot of reviewers needed if you're trying to get 3 reviews for every student. We are asking that all students required, regardless of their presentation type, whether that be oral, in-person poster, e-lightning, or virtual poster, upload a presentation to iPoster. In some cases, this is done for them, because it's already part of their experience if they have an e-lightning or a virtual poster. In other cases, they do have to upload either their slides if they're given an oral, or the PDF of their poster if they're doing an in-person poster. But they can also make the most of the iPoster experience and utilize those templates to present something engaging. We're also asking that all student OSPA presenters evaluate at least one of their peers. And in the evaluation form, everyone notes their career level. So it is noted when a student is evaluating another student. This is something that coordinators can see. And we are providing additional resources to help out our students, because they have not necessarily, depending on where they are in their career, they may not have received any training on actually how to provide constructive feedback. We've extended the timeline for evaluations, partly because of the virtual component of ASU 23, but that's happening late January, but also because we had a lot of success with this last year. About 25% of the evaluations that came in for OSPA and for ASU 22 came in January. So that was a lot of stuff coming in after the meeting. It's great. There's a lot going on during that 1 week. It's kind of unfair to expect people to be able to fit all their OSPA evaluations into that 1 5-day period in December. We can go to the next slide. We also have a number of resources that have been developed to try help folks understand not only the new platform, but provide effective presentations and effective feedback. So there's been some live trainings that have happened. We've had a number of Q&A sessions with OSPA students, with coordinators and liaisons, and we actually have a final one next week with students to talk through the review process. There's also been some trainings with how to create an iPoster and how to present effectively that took place in November, and I know that presenters can still access those trainings in their presenters corner in Confex. And then there's some static resources around providing effective feedback. There's also the new rubric that provides much better guidance as to what the scoring system means and what sort of feedback would be helpful, and some specific resources on how to utilize the iPoster platform for different user roles. If you go to the next slide. So I'm just going to show a couple screenshots of the different user types. So when you enter the iPoster OSPA gallery, it's going to look something like this, and you can filter a number of ways. This screenshot you're seeing here, it has been filtered to show only natural hazards section OSPA presenters. And you'll see there's numbers on all of those tiles. That's how many reviewers were signed up for these. These are just sorted right now. I don't know how they're sorted, probably by poster number. Some will show 1, some will show 2, some will show 3. They'll never show a 4 because we cap it at 3. So and actually, I don't think they'll even see the 3s when you're looking for prospective reviewers. Unlike the iPoster gallery for the whole meeting, which only shows published published presentations, the OSPA gallery will show those that are unpublished. We are asking that all students upload a presentation and publish it by December 1st. It is not a hard requirement. This is the first time we're doing this. We recognize that not everyone's going to have the time or the know-how to do it. So we're showing some grace there. If you go to the next slide. So you click on one of those presentations, you're like, okay, I think I want to learn more about this. You'll be able to dive into it. And depending on how that presentation was uploaded, you'll either be able to do some pop-out boxes as part of an iPoster template, or you're just going to see a PDF. When I took this screenshot, the button wasn't live yet, but actually in the bottom right, as of today, you will see an evaluate this presentation button. That is what someone will click to sign up to evaluate it and become a reviewer for that presentation. If you go to the next slide. And then it's going to show up on your reviewer dashboard. So we had the capability to sign up for reviews open for a little bit in mid-November, and some liaisons went in and signed themselves up. So I'm impersonating a liaison for paleoceanography here, and she signed herself up for a number of presentations. This is how it's going to show on her dashboard. She'll be able to see, the presentation time, the place, and the status of the poster itself, if it's been created or not. She can click on any one of those to then dive into it and do the evaluation feedback. Do you go to the next slide? But she's got a dual role, so she's a liaison too. This is what her view as a liaison looks like. And actually in the upper right, I didn't circle it, but there's a drop down in the upper right, and that's how people toggle in between their roles. So right now she's logged in as a liaison. She can view all of the students who are signed up for OSPA for her session, PP43F here. She can see how many reviewers are signed up. She can click on the plus box next to any of those students and dive down into, okay, who is the reviewer that signed up? What's their career level and what's the status of their evaluation? She can also click on view to see the presentation and copy that URL and send it to a prospective reviewer for them to sign up. So it's a really pretty easy functionality there. A lot of this is really intuitive. That drop down in the upper right is going to be a tripping point. And so we've really tried to build that in as much as possible into our training resource so that people know how they can switch about their roles. Because all students are going to have 2 roles, right? They're going to be both a presenter and a reviewer. They're going to have to utilize that when they want to do their evaluations. If you go to the next slide. So here's a quick snapshot of the timeline. So students, coordinators, and liaisons are already in the platform. They've all been invited. Coordinators and liaisons were provided with their student and potential reviewer information back in early November. To date, we have over 1,000 people in the system. And the great news is we haven't had any single sign-on issues. So that already is a major improvement on previous system. Starting tomorrow is our major marketing push to get reviewers to come into the platform and select presentations. Technically, they could do it today, but tomorrow is when the marketing push starts. And it's also the deadline for students to upload their presentations into iPoster. Not a hard deadline, but we are asking them to do it because it looks better when you go in as a reviewer and you see an image there and you get to learn a little more besides just the abstract, because that's the only data that's really been brought over from Convex. In mid-January, so the evaluation portion will actually open up at the start of fall meeting, so on the 11th, and extend through the virtual sessions in January. That actually should say January 25th, I'm sorry. The deadline to submit those evaluations and the deadline to sign up as a reviewer is at the end of January. And then in February, AGU staff and coordinators will be going in, looking at the feedback, removing inappropriate feedback. That does still happen, and coordinators will be selecting winners, and then the announcement will go out at the end of February, and that's when students will be able to access their feedback. So I went through that super fast. Hopefully, Ricky, you're on it on the chat, although it doesn't seem like too much came in. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, that's it. So far things are looking good, but this is a new platform. We're doing things iteratively. So while we love what we've seen so far from the iPoster team in terms of their responsiveness and kind of know-how with AGU's tricky data, we do appreciate whatever grace you can give us as we venture forth in this new period of OSPA. But we really like the returns we've seen so far, and the feedback from users who have gone into the system has been very positive.
All right, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ricky. And we only have 5 minutes, and we've still got a fair amount of content. So Josh and Greg, I'm going to ask you to maybe just hit the highlights on what folks should know, but there's a list here that you all can read later. And then I'd like our two guests who are going to talk to us about how they've been setting up their section events to talk a little bit about what they've done. So Josh, you want to take it away here?
Yep, I'll go through these quick. So for before you go for the executive and technical committee meetings, you should have the meeting details in the invites that came to you. These will be held in the Marriott Marquis Hotel, where a buffet meal will be offered in the shared area. They will have Wi-Fi available, and you can get that information from the Marriott and the events app. And then for section gatherings, evening receptions are on Thursday from 6:30 to 7. We match the number of available tickets for these meetings to the room capacity available for the venues. We use the number of tickets reserved as intent to attend, and that is the number that food guarantees are based on. So we will not be able to provide food beyond the guarantee amounts. Please come to the reception areas at least 15 minutes beforehand if your event has AV requested. You have already received confirmation of your designated AV for the business meetings, and we will not be able to make changes on site. For the student and early career events, if attendees had purchased tickets or if we are providing drink tickets, an AGU staff member will be on site to manage scanning badges and or handing out drink tickets. And please come to these venues at least 15 minutes prior as well. And then some general information. Please access the scientific program on the meeting website to plan your itinerary. This includes your section events, town halls, other section events, or special events that you wish to attend. Please note that some of the locations for these events have changed. The app will list the updated locations, and I did send out an email to section leaders before this meeting notifying you of those changes. And just a quick note that AGU does not permit offsite events at AGU 23. If a section is hosting an offsite event, it is not allowed to be branded as an AGU 23 event, nor can AGU funds be used for the event. And if a section wants to use section funds for a meeting space as part of an ancillary request, you'll need to pay for this with your own personal funds and then request a reimbursement afterwards. And then there's the link for the ancillary request as well.
All right, thanks. And yes, you all caught this. The date is right, but the day is wrong. It is Tuesday, Tuesday, December 12th, Tuesday. So we will update that in the slides when we send out the recording. So thank you. So I know we only have a little time, but for folks who can hang out here, and certainly the staff will as well, we've got a couple of sections that are talking about what they're doing. So Sonia, are you with us and can you jump on?
I am here.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm looking forward to AGU in particular because of the section receptions. Our section gatherings is definitely like a key highlight social event for our section. Atmospheric and space electricity is pretty small. We have somewhere between 120 and 150 abstracts to give you an idea of 5 oral sessions. So we're not a huge group. And so you can really put us all in a room and we can have a good time. So we do a little bit of business. They used to be called business meetings, I guess. And so we do this maybe about 2/3, halfway 2/3 into the meeting after people are been eating and drinking for a while. And we just share like some facts about the meeting, like our session schedule, you know, congratulate all of our awardees, recognize all of our volunteers, have a call for new volunteers. And we have, I should say, probably say community announcements instead of community awards there. And sometimes we have some other content, but just give that time to just tell everybody what's going on in our section. This year we're doing, we have done this year, started kind of doing a section survey. We're trying to gather information on student activities, how we schedule our fall meeting program, just various other things about like, what could we be doing in our section? And I kind of got this idea from Krista and Danny in informatics, so thank you. And didn't get a ton of responses through the form, but kind of redoing that and having a live kind of survey they can respond to during the reception so we can get more input. The obstacles for this reception have been lately the cost of the AV system. And so this year we opted not to ask for that. So we're going to maybe have some handouts. I don't think we're gonna have a microphone though, so that's gonna be awkward, but we'll see how it goes. We also probably maybe put some links to slides, like with the QR code so people can look at things on their phone. And we did add Josh let us know that some other sections requested easels from Marriott. And so I guess those are going to be provided for free. And we can maybe put some posters up to recognize our awardees, perhaps. I think I just have one more slide. Right, next slide. Yeah, okay, so Josh also asked, if we had any tips just about new section leaders, going to the meeting in this position. And I guess one thing we do that might be helpful is we send out this consolidated email to our section, usually through AGU Connect, maybe like the Friday before. And it kind of has all the information relevant to our section for the meeting, like the location of where things are. That's more relevant now that AGU bounces around, or reminding people about all of our events to volunteer, the session schedule, and just anything that might, people might not think of because, the meeting location is new or they're new to the meeting. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate that. Daniel, what's your take on this? You still on?
I was looking earlier. This is Lisa. I'm the president-elect. I Dan on the call.
Yeah, well, if you'd like to.
I don't know if he isn't there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him.
I could wing it briefly if you want.
Thank you. That would be fabulous if you wouldn't mind.
I'll give it a go. Yeah, and keep it brief because obviously it's the end of the meeting. So yeah, I'll quickly run through what Dan was going to say, and I'm new to this, so I'm mostly trying to learn from others, I have to admit. So we've got a combination of things. We've got a number of events that we're doing shared with other sections, which I'm sure is fairly common, but because we have a lot of links to many sections, for example, you can see the early career trivia night with a large number of sections. And there's quite a lot of emphasis here on early career events, which we felt were important. We've also got our reception with seismology and then the business meeting. And then we also host formally the Birch lecture. So next slide, please. I think we're going to focus on something here. Yeah, so this came up before, and I see Steve Constable noted it too. So we also hit the problem of the cost of AV hire. And so to get around that, it sounds like it's something that maybe needs to be looked at for future years. But to get around that, we're just doing oral presentations, and we're going to use a poster to include all the information about thanking our volunteers and committee members, and do it that way instead. And I have to admit, I can't remember if we've got a microphone or a shouting, but yeah, it seems like a common issue. And one other thing, it might be a good opportunity to just raise again. I think this came out of a previous meeting, but just the finances, the section finances are quite complex, and I do feel we spent rather more time than we probably needed to trying to figure those out before we worked out what we were spending on what for the meeting. Okay, next slide, please. Right, okay, so in terms of the business meeting, this is sort of covering some of the things that we'll do, which I'm sure is common for other sections too, including some things we try like to do to work more closely with other sections, because we do have links to many sections, trying to get our members to also provide us with feedback that we can give to yourselves in terms of the meeting, but in general in AGU. And something we definitely want to be doing is promoting diversity in nominations. That's something that we noticed particularly this year that we need to improve on. So trying to highlight that, but also try and get some feedback from members about how we best do that. Next slide. Yeah, so in terms of, so Dan put in this question about how do you go about, and maybe it's just an open question because we don't have time to cover it, but how do other sections go about engaging their membership better in terms of both attending and guiding committee meetings and getting involved. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for jumping in. We really appreciate that. Why don't we pull down the slides for a moment, because I think that's the end of our PowerPoint anyway. And I know that we're over, but I appreciate the folks who've stayed on. Is for the good of the order here, are there any kind of last questions for those of us who are kind of remaining on the call? No? Well, I appreciate all of your participation here. It's been great meeting with you monthly, if not more often. And like I said, we will be continuing these calls, and we'll send something later this year, probably after the conference or early January, in terms of upcoming meetings. We really appreciate your volunteerism with AGU. Really looking forward to seeing you in the next week and a half, and certainly continue to reach out to my team, the member services team, as you have questions, as you continue with your section events, and we're here to help. Amber or anyone want to jump in with any last final words?
No, I'm really excited to see a lot of you soon. So safe travels.
All right. See everyone soon. Thank you so much.